I feel like y'all haven't seen me in 3 weeks and I look incredibly different, but I just have intense nude makeup on. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello, my name is Simone. So today's video, I've actually been planning this for the 3 weeks that I've been gone. I think we're ready. We've skipped some weeks. So if you guys have been subscribed to me for a while, one thing you may have noticed is that my editing style has changed a lot. My thumbnail style has changed a lot. You guys lately have been interested in that change all the way back to my editing style. Now that I have this updated equipment, now that I have a MacBook Pro to edit on, today I'm going to be showing you guys how I edit on my MacBook Pro and what software I'm using to make these marvelous videos. I have been learning this software in the 3 weeks that I've been gone so that I could prepare this video along with the commands and different things. Hopefully you all can learn it as well, along with some visual examples to further explain what I mean. Before we get into anything, I figured I would tell you guys the app that I use. So on my MacBook Pro, the app that I'm using to currently edit is DaVinci Resolve. It updated a few days ago to DaVinci Resolve 17, and that is what I'm editing on now. It's completely free, or at least the version that I'm using. However, there is a $300 version, and I personally don't need all of that. For now, we're just going the cheap way. So without further ado, let's get into my process. Let's get into this video and let me show you guys exactly how I've been editing for these last 3 weeks. The very first thing I do, as soon as I get all of the files and all of the videos I want into the app, I color grade my video. So to provide you with a visual example, so the way that I get to color grading is going to this little color wheel at the very bottom. Immediately you have the video that you want to color grade. If you've cut the video, it's going to show multiple cuts of the clip that you have, but I like to keep it at one because I don't like to start cutting until I color grade. So what I do is select the video, and below the video you see you have several options here, and I usually click this circle here. It's going to be the third option, and it says color wheels, and this is where I go to adjust the clips shadow, saturation, highlight, and everything that you see below here, along with the temperature, tint, and contrast. So opening this app alone, you may notice that it looks kind of crazy, kind of like big boy software, but once you learn it, it's a lot easier. So the very first thing I do when it comes to editing my video are rough cuts. You may have heard me speak on this in my last video when I was editing on my iPhone. However, I do that same thing except on a computer. So let me show you how. So before I even cut my clips, the first thing I do is set markers of where I need to cut. So to set a marker, the shortcut is just the letter M. And so I'll go and find audio breaks, any times where I'm looking like I'm pausing or not saying anything, and I'll hit M to set a marker there to remind me to cut that clip. It'll look a little bit like this. Once all of my markers are set, that's where I go in and make my rough cut. The command to cut that I have noticed is Command B, but you also can use Command and then this straight line. And so everywhere that I've placed my marker is where I'm gonna cut the video. So I'll cut, delete, cut, delete. To delete a clip, you're just going to select the clip and then hit delete, and it'll get rid of that. Sometimes you may notice that it'll leave this blank bar, and that's just blank space that it thinks you still want to be there. If you don't want that there, you're gonna click the blank space and you're gonna hit delete. After I'm done setting my markers and making my rough cuts, then I go in and make my specific cuts. At this point, I go into the video precisely and begin watching it and seeing which parts don't need to be in there. Most of the time, I cut out my ums, fresh breaths of air, anything like that that just does not need to be in the video. Now, while I'm making my specific cuts, another thing I'm doing is editing each clip individually for jokes, anything like that that I feel like I may have to put in. And that's where I begin keyframing. Keyframing specifically are those moments where you'll see the camera zoom in or zoom out. To do that in Resolve, you're gonna select the clip that you want to be keyframed. You're gonna hit this tools icon right here, and the third indication should say something like dynamic zoom. Now, once you see this, you may immediately think, oh, let's shrink the green square into my face. That's exactly what's gonna happen. Not the case. The green frame is where it's going to start, and the red frame is where it's going to end. So if you want it to zoom in, you're gonna take your red frame, click one of the corners, and zoom into the part that you want to be zoomed into. And then if you want it to start from a certain point, I usually have it start from the full ratio of the video, and I will pull this green section out, and then it'll look something like this. Once I've inserted all of my keyframes, once I've made my rough cuts, once I've made my specific cuts, the very next thing I do is add my text, images, and sound effects. This is where it starts to get good. This is where I start putting in my jokes, my social media handles, everything like that. So to add text to a clip, the very first thing I do is select the clip that I want to add text to. Then if you go to the top left, you'll see a list of things you can do with that video. Then I'll select that one and drag it down to where I want it to start. You can put it with that clip, you can have it synced up with that clip. Most of the time I have it start whenever I start talking. Now, as of right now, you probably see that it says basic title, like how can you even change that? So you're gonna select your text, and then in the top right hand corner, you should see something that says inspector. You're gonna hit that, and as you can see, you're then given a whole thing of text edits where you can edit the size, the font, where you want it to be, drop, shadow, stroke, and all of that jazz. So once I've selected Times New Roman, I then adjust the size and how I want it to look, and it'll usually look something like this. Okay, so we've covered text. What about images? What about sound effects? To put images in your clip, what you're going to do is go to your media pool, and provided that you've already uploaded that image, you're going to click that image and drag it to where you want to start, similar to how you did the text. Now, if you feel like the placement of the image is off, or you would like it to be smaller, cropped, anything like that, you're gonna hit your tools indication again, and it's gonna give you a variety of things to choose from. You can crop it using these tools, and you can size it using these tools. If you'd like to move it to a different location, all you'd have to do is click on the image and then simply drag it. It also gives you arrows so that you can crop it yourself and size it yourself, which I think is super helpful. Keep in mind that along with your text and along with your images, you can cut those as well. So if you want them to end at a specific point, just go to the point that you would like it to end and hit Command B. Just make sure you have those clips selected so that you can cut them and that the computer doesn't get confused and doesn't really know what you're trying to cut. So we've covered our text, we've covered our images, and now it's time to get to our sound effects, which, not gonna lie, when I was trying to learn this, it was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. If you plan on adding sound effects to your video, there are multiple ways to do it. However, this is the way that I have found the easiest. The other way just isn't worth the fight. So here's the easiest way that I found to do it. Now, before we get into that, the first thing I would like to mention is that DaVinci Resolve does have a sound library, and you can download that on your computer. For some reason, it does not want to download on my laptop. So as far as I'm concerned, I have no DaVinci Resolve sound effects, but I do have some saved from my phone from when I used to edit on my phone, and I have loaded those onto my computer. If you have any sound effects that you'd like to use that aren't in DaVinci Resolve, I recommend converting those to MP3 files. If you have any YouTube video sound effect packs that you'd like to convert into actual MP3 sounds, you can do that with the YouTube to MP3 converters. So the way that I found the easiest to even put a sound in here is by pressing Command I to import a sound. Once you've found the sound that you want to import, you're going to hit open, and it should open up in your media pool. Then, just like a text, just like an image, you're going to place that sound exactly where you want it to be. Sometimes, if it recognizes that it's an audio file, it will open up a separate audio track. Those are specifically for audios and audios only. A video is not meant to be on that track, and so I never usually put one there. You also can cut a sound the same way you can cut a text and an image and a regular clip in general by hitting Control B. So if you only want the sound effect to last for a certain amount of time, just hit Control B, cut the sound. I'm hoping that everything I'm saying is making sense to this point. If not, hopefully the visual examples make more sense. So usually I'll use a combination of text and images to add my social media handles. And what I'll do is look up social media handle transparent PNG, and I'll save that to my computer, have it uploaded to Resolve, and then I'll insert it where I want it to be. So one thing I covered in my last video that I will also cover in this video, because you can do it on here too, is topic blurring, which is this thing you're seeing right now. So to topic blur in DaVinci Resolve, what you're going to do, select the clip that you want to be blurred. Once you've selected the clip, in the top left hand corner where your titles, transitions, sync bin, and media pool are, you're gonna hit effects. There are a list of effects that you can pick. I personally go to the Resolve Effects blur and choose Box Blur. Once you have selected that effect, you're gonna drag it and place it right on top of the clip that you want to be blurred. It'll then give you this whole blur effect, and that is what you want for your video. Now, I recommend you clip your video to the point that you want the blur to end before putting the blur effect on it. Clip first, add blur in second. It's a lot easier to do. Once the duration of the blurred clip is set to where you want it, you're going to add your text on top of it the same way you would a regular clip. Go to titles, select your text, and place the text right above the video. It may create a new track, and that's completely fine. Then you're going to edit your text the same way you would with any other thing and adjust your text as you'd like. So now that my video is starting to look like a video, the very next thing I do is add my background music. There are many different sites you can use to find non-copyright background music, because one thing YouTube is gonna do is get you for that copyright, and we're not trying to do that. We're not trying to have any of that happen. So I go for non-copyright music as much as possible. To add background music into DaVinci Resolve, the very first thing I do, as I've been stating, is convert it to an MP3 file. This is the site that I use to convert YouTube videos or sounds into MP3 file. Once it is converted to an MP3 file, I will then go to my media pool, hit Command I to upload that MP3 into Resolve, and once it's uploaded into Resolve, I then drag it like I would a text, image, or sound effect and place the music where I want it to start. And keep in mind, the same way you can cut a clip, text, image, or sound effect, you can also cut your background music. So wherever you want it to end, select that point, hit Command B, and boom. So now that I've looked over it, now that this video looks a lot more like a video than it did before, once I'm satisfied with my product, I now have to finalize it. So one thing I love about DaVinci Resolve is that it gives you permission to upload to YouTube directly from the app. I like this, but I've only used it maybe once or twice and wasn't really the happiest with it. So what I usually do is just save the video by itself so that I can look back and make sure there's no weird glitches or anything like that. Once that full YouTube video is in my download, I then open Safari and go to YouTube Studio. From YouTube Studio, I hit the create option and I press upload videos. Now on a MacBook, it'll ask you to select a file. So I select my file and then select choose for upload. And then once I've set all of that I want for the video, the description, the tags, and all that jazz, I wait for the video to process and upload. Once that video has been processed and uploaded privately into my channel, I then go and add my iCards and my end screen. The same way I may have showed you guys in my last how I edit video is the exact same way you do it in here. Simply choose the video. You're gonna hit this pencil portion, which gives you the details of the video. And then if you go to the right, you'll see at the bottom, it's gonna say end screen and iCards. So the very first thing I do is add my iCards. I usually just place my video iCards wherever the markers are suggesting I do it, which I find to be a lot easier. And then once those are set, I save it, cancel, and then go to my end screen. And so for my end screen, I wait for my outro to play a little, and then once it gets to the point where it's recommending you videos, that is where I add my end screen. So it'll look a little bit like this. And then that video is YouTube ready. Of course, I do my double, triple, quadruple takes, trying to make sure that the video is nice, trying to make sure that the video has no glitches, seeing if there's anything else I need to fix, tweak, or control. But once I am satisfied with my product, that is what ends up being placed out for people like you to see and enjoy. And that's my entire editing process, which means that brings us to the end of today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys learned a lot. I was struggling with this software, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not gonna take you a day to learn it. It certainly didn't take me a day to learn it. And soon those of you who also make YouTube videos will be making videos with DaVinci Resolve to the fullest extent. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like. And if you think you would like to see more of my content, don't hesitate to subscribe. Be sure to follow all of my social medias, including my spam, which is where you get my life outside of YouTube. Be sure to turn on post notification bells to be notified whenever I upload, and I'm wishing success on everyone's channel if you are starting in 2021. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all. Be amazing, be you, and have a wonderful day. Bye. I was cruising down the street, fuck these.